This MMA 30 segment is powered by Bodybuilding.com, the #1 sports nutrition e-tailer. Get the latest products from Muscle Farm at Bodybuilding.com. Dan Henderson joining us right here on the MMA 30 Radio Hour, a man that I'm sure has a lot to say about this topic. Dan, thank you so much for being on the show today. We really appreciate your time.
No worries, guys.
So this is a really interesting situation. I'm sure that you woke up today to the same news that we all did, that the UFC has bought Strikeforce, and I think that you're probably in one of the most precarious positions out of anybody, considering that, not too long ago you were kind of going through it with the UFC. What was your first reaction when you found out that the UFC bought Strikeforce today?
Well, I guess, it was hard to believe, because I was in the dark about the whole thing as well, and, I'm not sure how good it is for the sport. So I'm just you got to wait and see, like everyone else, how the dust settles and what's going to happen.
Now, when you say you don't know how good it is for the sport, I mean, we were just talking about that here on the radio, and whether or not fighters now have any position to really leverage. Do you think that that's completely wiped off the table now? If guys can't say, "Hey, I'm going to go fight over here," and really be taken seriously at this point because of the purchase?
Yeah, I mean, it really takes away quite a bit of leveraging power for the fighters, and who knows what's going to happen out of this? Maybe the fighters get together and eventually, form a union. Who knows? But I know that I'm not probably in the same position as a lot of these other up-and-coming fighters, but that's one of the reasons why I left, to try and help the sport out and try to, give the fighters a better chance to make more money.
Strikeforce light heavyweight champion Dan Henderson is on the phone with us right now. Would you say that the news today of the UFC purchasing Strikeforce overall, considering what it gives to the fans, what it may take away from the fighters, hypothetically, is overall good news or bad news for the sport?
Well, I think that a lot of that depends on how the UFC handles things, but I don't know. That's hard to say. I mean, I wouldn't imagine it being the best news, that's for sure. So, I really don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing right now.
Yeah, forgive me for reading into it, but you don't sound delighted, Dan.
Yeah, it could be a good thing for me. I don't know. Obviously, UFC is second to none as far as their marketing goes, and I think their numbers have been slowly dropping, and Strikeforce numbers have slowly been going up. And if the UFC gets behind it with their marketing, it could be a good thing. Yeah, I just don't know what to think of it right now.
How is your personal relationship with Dana White?
Well, I mean, I don't really consider myself having a personal relationship with him, but it seems to me that I don't take anything personal when we parted ways. I did so just making a business decision, and I feel like they did the same thing. And obviously, Dana likes to talk a little bit on top of that, and that's his thing. But I didn't take anything personally at all, and I think. It is a bit ironic that I'm in the same position I was a few years ago when they purchased Pride.
Yeah, it's really just it's like a mirror image almost of what happened with you last time. And normally I would think when someone leaves the UFC and goes anywhere else, it generally tends to be a mistake. However, when I saw your deal, and especially what happened last Saturday night with your knockout of Feijiao and becoming the new Strikeforce light heavyweight champion, and then a couple of days later the paydays get shown by the Athletic Commission, and you got paid $250,000 as a base salary for that fight. I go, you know what, Dan Henderson, I think, made a really good decision leaving the UFC and going to Strikeforce. And then news comes down today, and the first guy that I think of is you, and I go, today must suck for Dan.
Well, we'll see. You never know. I think I'm not gonna do horrible if UFC takes over and starts. I don't think my paycheck will change a whole lot.
Considering what happened last Saturday night with you becoming the Strikeforce light heavyweight champion, and and focusing on the good things that are happening in your career, how much did it mean to you to become the Strikeforce light heavyweight champion? Was it everything that you hoped it would be? Did you feel those same emotions that you would have felt as a UFC champion or back when you were Pride champion?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's just, obviously I think it showed on my face how happy I was, and it was even sweeter because of my age and the fact that people doubt that I'm still able to compete at that level, being 40 years old.
Now, you're 40 years old, but I mean, and there isn't a lot of guys at your age that could do what you do, but how much longer do you see yourself out there fighting? Because when I watched you last Saturday night, you looked like a young man out there. You didn't look like you had any issues whatsoever. So, I mean, are you even thinking about hanging it up at this point, or how much longer do you think you have in your career?
I don't know. I mean, I keep getting smarter with every training camp, and really taking care of my body and not pushing it too hard like I used to, and that comes with experience and learning from mistakes, and that goes for making sure my body's healthy, and that's the biggest thing that I've been focusing on the last couple of years, and the last couple of training camps have been perfect, and I think it shows in my performance.
Our guest today here on the MMA 30 Radio Hour is Strikeforce light heavyweight champion Dan Henderson.
You know, it's a hard thing to ask a fighter at any point in time. You know, what is next for you? You just became the Strikeforce light heavyweight champion. Zuffa just bought the organization that you're fighting, and Dana, according to him in his interview when he announced the purchase of Strikeforce, says it's going to be business as usual. And let's just operate under those assumptions that it is going to be business as usual. What do you want to accomplish next? I mean, what hasn't Dan Henderson done in the world of mixed martial arts? Some people are saying that you are the greatest mixed martial artist of all times, considering your body of work, being a two-division champion in Pride, and now becoming the light heavyweight champion in Strikeforce.
Well, I mean, I think there's talk about fighting the winner of Mike Kyle and Gegard Mousasi. I think that's a possibility. Somehow the media keeps, holding on to me versus Fedor. They seem to love that matchup. So I don't know. I'm open to whatever, and we'll see what happens.
That's interesting there. You said that nonsense. I got the impression, and forgive me if I once misinterpreted something, but I got the impression that you were interested in the fight with Fedor. Is that not the case? No,
I didn't say it was nonsense. I just said that the media seems to love it, is all I'm saying, and I didn't put that in anybody's head. It was just all questions asked to me if I would like to fight him, and yeah, I mean, I would like to fight him. He's only because of the things he's done in the sport and where he's at right now. It would be a huge challenge and an honor to fight him.
It's been kind of all over the place this past week with the idea that you may be interested in fighting Fedor. The fans, of course, obviously are interested in seeing it. That's why everyone's kind of up in arms about it. But it swung from Dan Henderson's interested in it, Strikeforce is interested in it, to swinging wildly back the other direction, M1 saying that there's no way, they've had no talks whatsoever. Do you think, just from what you've heard, that there is a possibility that you could fight Fedor, or do you think that it's a long way from even being talked about?
I think we're a long ways off. It's, but a lot of fights begin with the fans saying they want it, and talking about it so much that fight's probably, it's a good possibility that could happen because the fans seem to really want it.
How would you beat Fedor Emelianenko if you were to fight him?
I don't think I'll be able to do what Giant Silva did, get on top of him and squish him like that, but I would do my best.
Big overhand right? That's that. They were calling it the H-bomb. That's like the trademark move now. Are you forced to finish every fight with the big overhand right now?
No, I don't know. I mean, if I could do that every fight, I'd love to.
All right, Dan Henderson, thanks so much for joining us here on the MMA 30 Radio Hour today. Congratulations, man. I was so amped for you, seeing you win the Strikeforce light heavyweight title last Saturday night. Can't wait to see what's next, and we really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, dude.